Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to install software for a Adafruit 3.5-inch PiTFT to make an OctoPrint rig. So this is the project here, and we're just going to walk through the software part of the tutorial. You're going to need some parts. So I actually have the parts here in front of me. I'm actually using a Raspberry Pi 3, but you can use a Raspberry Pi 1 or a Raspberry Pi 2. I have the Adafruit PiTFT. This is the 3.5-inch version. I have a keyboard as well, and I have a Wi-Fi dongle, but you could also use Ethernet if you have wired Ethernet. And I recommend using a blank card, an SD card. This is an 8GB class 10, I believe. It might be class 4, class 10. Yeah, and it comes with a an adapter, an SD card adapter, so we can you can use the onboard SD card reader on my computer. So that's about it. Let's get started with the software stuff. So first up, you'll need to download the Raspberry Pi ready to go image that is provided here in the guide. This is a Jessie-based image, and it has all the software stuff configured for the PiTFT 3.5-inch version, and it's a resistive touch display. And this will work with a Pi 1, a Pi 2, or a Pi 3. So once you download that, you will need to unzip it, and you'll be left with this image here. So to actually burn this image to your SD card, there's a couple different apps. You could do it through the terminal if you're comfortable with that, or if you want to use a graphical interface app. There are quite a few different ones. I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to use Apple Pi Baker. So I'll launch that, Apple Pi Baker. It'll ask you for your password. Enter that, and here's the GUI. So the first thing I'm going to do now is actually insert my SD card into my computer. So if I look at the Finder, you'll see that it showed up, but I have to hit this little refresh button, and there it is. Make sure you select the right one. It is the 7.9GB generic storage device, and I'm going to choose the image file by clicking that button there. I have it open here in my Finder, so I'm just going to drag it over like this, hit open, and now I can restore backup, which is basically burning it. So this will take a moment. You get a little progress bar, and I will pause the tutorial here, and then we come back. We'll see when it's done. Alright, so we're just about finished burning. There's a nice time estimation here. So when this finishes, it'll actually, I have this selected here, it'll eject it when it's successful. So your Apple Pi is ready. It's finished baking my SD card, so it's been ejected. I'll hit OK. So here it is. I'll take it out of the adapter, so I just left with that. Next, I'm going to bring it into the Raspberry Pi, which is on the bottom here. So make sure I get this here like that. And what I'll do now is actually install the Adafruit PiTFT. So all you have to do is just bring it on here on the header, bring the two headers together, nicely seated together. There's a little package, and now I will power it on. So I actually have a 5-volt power supply connected to my wall, and it's just a regular micro USB cable. So I'll plug it in here, and it should automatically boot up. You'll get a white screen at first. Set it down right there. And what I'll need to do is actually connect the Wi-Fi. There it's booting, so I get the boot screen, so we're all good. So I'm going to plug in the Wi-Fi adapter and my keyboard adapter, because I'm going to need the keyboard in order to insert my credentials, my Wi-Fi credentials. So I should be able to do that without it crashing, but I think on the Pi 1, if you were to do this, it'll crash. So don't do that if you're Pi 1. So I've just plugged in that, and I'll plug in this. And the cool thing about the ready-to-go image is that it'll automatically log in and boot into the X11. So there it is booting, and the touchscreen is pre-calibrated. And unfortunately, mine has a cracked screen, so that's not working. So be careful with your screen. I mean, I broke mine because I dropped it, but hopefully yours did not drop. I'll make sure my keyboard is turned on. There it goes. And there we go. I can see stuff here. So what I'll do now is actually log in. Okay, so I've gone ahead and typed in my Wi-Fi password. And again, it's up here in the corner. You go to LAN 1 and then pick your desired Wi-Fi network. So once that's good, you'll have a little green check mark, and it shows that it is connected to the internet. So I can start following the next procedure. So I'm actually going to open terminal and type in ifconfig so I can find out what the IP address is, and it looks like right here it is 10.1.10.09. So I'm actually going to now stop using the Pi here, and I'm going to switch over to my desktop so that I can SSH into it using terminal and just follow the process through there, because the screen is a little bit small. So I'm going to use my computer to do all the stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and go to terminal, and I made it nice and big so you guys can see it. We'll start by typing in SSH pi at 10.1.10.109 because that is the IP address that it told us. I'll hit OK. So SSH pi at your IP address, and then it'll ask me if I want to authenticate. I'll say yes, and I'll type in the password. The default password is Raspberry. Alright, so now we are SSH'd in, and we can start following the next process, the next step. So the next step is actually to follow the Raspberry Pi setup in OctoPrint. So we'll go over here. So we'll scroll down to basic setup. So first thing right here. So we'll need to get some dependencies like Python 2.7. So I'll do this. I'm just going to copy that. So we're already in the root. So I'll start by getting this piece here. Just copy that first line, and basically just saying super user app get install. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit enter, and this is gonna go ahead, download those things, build a dependency tree, and this should take a little bit. It's gonna say, hey, do you have some additional space? And I'll say yes. You can just type in Y and hit enter. So this is gonna go ahead and download all the good stuff, and it might take a minute or two, but depending. Alright, so it's now finished. It got all the dependencies, set everything up, and unpackaged everything. So when it's done, we'll be left with this guy here. So the next step is to actually do a git clone of OctoPrint. So we'll copy that next link, the next line, paste it in, hit enter, and this will clone GitHub repo. So this will take a couple minutes, give or take. Alright, so we're back. It's been about 10 minutes or so, and unfortunately, the remote end hung up unexpectedly. So my Wi-Fi is a little bit dodgy here. So the word of advice, definitely want to consider, if you are using Wi-Fi, to do it in close proximity of your Wi-Fi router. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch over from the Wi-Fi dongle. So I'm going to take the Wi-Fi dongle out, and I'm just going to connect Ethernet into it because I have Ethernet. Probably should do that first. But I tend to use the Wi-Fi as most people would. But you know, sometimes it's a better option to use Ethernet. That's way it's faster, and you're just eliminating any problems that can occur. Alright, so since we switched from Wi-Fi to Ethernet, we actually have a different IP address. So if you roll over the little icon up here and you hover over, it'll tell you what the Ethernet IP address. So it's 10.1.10.2.19. So we need to remember that, and then we'll switch back over here. And I just went ahead and made a new terminal window. So I'm going to do SSH pi at 10.1.10, and I'll change 109 to 219. Hit enter. Raspberry is still the password. Alright, so now let's go back over to the guide here, and we still need to do the git clone. So I have that copied in my clipboard, paste it in here, and hit enter. And it'll restart the process here since it failed previously. And this will take about maybe 10 minutes or so, depending on your internet speed. And it says there's no space left. So that is a big problem. So if there's no space left, it looks like we have to expand the disk. So to do that, we can do sudo raspi config. You should have done that first, and this will launch the Raspberry Pi software configuration tool. You can use your arrow keys to navigate here to select something. I'm going to click on this one here. It says expand file system. I'll hit enter. It'll expand it. It says your root partition has been resized, so I'll hit OK. So now we'll go to finish, and we'll actually need to reboot. So that'll reboot the Pi. If you look over here on the overhead, you can see the Pi is rebooting. It should still retain that same IP address. It's in my case it's 10.1, 10.209. So there she goes. I will switch back over. There she is. All right, and we'll do SSH again. Raspberry. I still have it copied to my clipboard, so to git clone again. So it'll clone. This time it should have enough data. It should have enough room. Definitely should have expanded the file system first before doing any installations. But hey, you can run into that problem and solve it and just keep moving, just keep going. So everything should be okay. Alright, so that's done. And next I will do this right here, which we're going into the OctoPrint directory, and I can do ls to see if there's stuff there. Looks like all the files are there. So the next thing I'm going to do is do this virtual environment command. So I'll copy and paste that into the terminal, hit enter. And this is going to install some setup tools, pip, and unpackage some things. So that will take a good minute. Oh, no, it looks like it's done. Perfect. So we're on to the next line, which will upgrade pip. Let's do that. Upgrade it. We're still inside the OctoPrint directory. So it'll download that. Successfully uninstalled pip. Alright, it needs to do that. And successfully installed pip, cleaning up. Alright, so now I will move on to the next one where it installs the setup.py. Paste that in, hit enter. This will run through a bunch of stuff here. This might take a minute or so. And I'll go ahead and copy the next line, which is make directory OctoPrint. So I have that copied. And we'll give this a minute or so. Alright, so it looks like it finished processing dependencies for OctoPrint 1.1.12. So the next thing we can do is make the directory here. So I'll just copy and paste that in, hit enter. Looks like it did it. So now we have a couple different things to do here. If you read here, it says that you might need to get some user access stuff for serial port. So I'm just going to follow that. Hit that, and then do the next one. Paste that in, hit OK. Those are really quick and easy. So now it says you should then be able to start the OctoPrint server. To do that, we don't copy this whole thing. We're just going to copy this right here. So let's give that a shot. It should be able to start OctoPrint now. So it looks like it started it. Let's go ahead and try on our browser to load it up. So it's going to be 10.1.10.219, and then you'll need semicolon 5000. So let's enter that. Give it a minute. It might be still trying to load it up. Yep. So it looks like it's loaded up. And it says somewhere here, path to Cura engine has not been configured yet or does not exist. That's fine. We will get that in a minute here. So it's saying, you know, this is the very first thing that you get when you have OctoPrint. It'll say you need to. It's a big warning, like, hey, make sure to prevent strangers from doing malicious intent. Make sure to set up a password and stuff. So I just did that. You can pick whatever name you want, but just remember your password. You can disable it if you want, but it is very strongly recommended that you set up a password to secure it. So keep access control enabled. So here it is. I'll have to log in by clicking on the login button. And I'll click remember me. So I'll put in my credentials like that. And I'm logged in. It'll say there's some announcements and stuff. I read it. Okay. And looks like it's been read. I'll click mark as read. Mark as read. So I have read it. And I'll go ahead and click close. And we can close this out by hitting later, I suppose. So now we're good. The next thing we need to do is let's come here. So if we go back to the GitHub wiki page, and what we'll do, so it's loaded here in the terminal. It's still loading. It's still launched. And if I hit Control X, it'll actually close the server. But what we want to do is let's skip over updating branches. We don't need to do that now. There is a webcam option, so if we wanted to do the webcam, we'd follow through this stuff here, which I'll probably leave out of this tutorial. I can revisit it if you guys would like me to. but I'm gonna go down here where it says automatic startup. So this will allow us to automatically start up some stuff. So the first thing here, it says adjust the path in your OctoPrint binary in both this file and this file. And we'll basically need to add this line here. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to copy this part here. And I'm actually going to have to close out OctoPrint. So I'll hit Control C. That'll stop the server. It says shutting down, goodbye, and that's fine. So we'll type in sudo nano, which is a super user do an edit, and I'm going to paste that thing that we copied here, the octoprint.init. I'll hit enter, and then you can see here that it says we need to modify a line where it says daemon. So I'll scroll down here, look for daemon. Here's the daemon line. So I'm gonna hit these two the hashtag will actually comment it out, and I'll just in its place, or right underneath it rather, I will paste in, oops, not that, I need to grab the right daemon line. So I'll copy that daemon line, paste it in, and now I will hit Control X, and it says, okay, do you want to save the changes? I will hit Y on my keyboard, and then I'll hit enter because it's saying, hey, what's the file? And it's the same file name, so I'll hit enter. So that file is now done. So since we did this file, now I'm going to do the second file, which is this one here. So I'll just copy that part. I'll do the same thing, sudo nano, and then paste in that new file, or that file, the next file, which is octoprint.default, hit enter. And you can see here, this part is actually already commented out, the daemon path to octoprint executable. So I'll come right here and paste that, oops, not that again. It's very important that you paste the right thing in. So I'm going to grab this guy, paste that in. That looks good. It's the right path, so I will hit Control X again, hit Y, and then enter to save that. So now I have those two files updated. I know that's a little confusing, but hopefully that clears things up. The next thing we need to do is copy the script files to the respective folders and make the init script executable. So this one's straightforward, so I can just do this sudo. So I'll just paste that in, hit enter. Do the next one, copy and paste, enter, do the next one, copy and paste, enter, and then it says then add the start to auto start, add the script to auto start using sudo update. So this command here. So I will type that in or paste that in, hit enter, and now this will allow you to start, stop the OctoPrint daemon via, and then this line. So what you would do ultimately is in these curly braces is what you would select. So I'll show you. So I'll do OctoPrint. So I'll copy that, sudo service OctoPrint, and then I will say start, hit enter. So it'll start. So now it's starting. So if I go back over to this here, it says server was offline, obviously because we closed it. I'll click the button attempt to reconnect, and it reconnected. So that means that it is good. So the next thing I'm going to do is to prove or to test that it automatically starts up, that OctoPrint will automatically start up. Because if you don't do this, you'll have to, if you don't do this automatic startup song and dance, then you'll actually have to run this command every time you want to start it, every time you boot up, which is not ideal. So you would have to run this guy here to like start it. But if you want to make it nice and easy and automatic startup, you do have to run through this stuff here. So let me show you guys to test it out. I am actually going to do sudo reboot, which will reboot the Raspberry Pi. It's a safe way to reboot it, and you can see instantly that the server is offline. And then it's closed the connection to my terminal because we were SSH'd into it. So I'm going to go back over to this guy here, and you can see my overhead that the Raspberry Pi is indeed starting up. It booted up. So what's going on is, since we did all that song and dance, it should automatically start OctoPrint now. So we don't have to manually start it up. So here she is, nice and fast, especially with the Raspberry Pi 2 and 3. So it's pretty much loaded up here. At this point, what we can do is launch the browser here. It's called Epiphany. Now, the way to actually launch the OctoPrint interface from within the Raspberry Pi, you actually need to type in HTTP, you know, like how you do websites, // and then I'm going to put 0.0.0.0 semicolon 5000. The reason being because it is itself. it's its own local host. So you can see it's loading up, and it'll take a minute or two, or maybe not a minute, but a couple seconds. There she goes. Now, obviously, this is not optimized for our little Raspberry Pi screen, our Adafruit PiTFT screen. So you can see here it's not really that usable. So what we need to do is actually install a plugin called Mobile Touch UI, or probably just Touch UI plugin. So to do that, we're gonna have to do it on our desktop because we just get a bigger screen real estate. So I'm gonna switch back over. And you can see here that OctoPrint has automatically booted up on my browser, but you do have to run 10. The IP address. In this case, it's the Ethernet IP address. So what I'll do is I'll go to Settings. I'll come down here to Plugin Manager, and I will say Get More. And we can search for it here by typing in Touch. And there it is. I'll hit install, and if we did everything right, it will install the Touch UI plugin. Shout out, of course, to Billy Blaze, who developed this plugin. It's very, very useful. So it is now running Start Pi install. Successfully installed Touch UI 033. So I'll go ahead and hit close, and you see I got a little notification here at the top corner. It says the plugin was installed. However, a restart of OctoPrint is needed for that to take effect. So to restart OctoPrint, so we're going to have to go back to terminal, and I will connect to it again. So SSH Pi 10.1.10.219, log in, Raspberry. And what I'll do is I will grab this command, the sudo service octoprint, and I will say restart, enter. So that'll just restart OctoPrint. So it says the server is offline, and it's just restarting in the background. So give it a minute. I'll hit attempt. Oh, there it goes. Please reload. There's a new version of the server active now. This will not interrupt any print jobs. Please reload the web interface. So I'll hit OK. Reload now. Since I hit remember me, it should automatically log me in as admin. I am. And we got this new little guy up here where it's the Touch UI setting. So the cool thing about this is the Touch UI will automatically detect your browser's screen resolution, and depending on if it's at a certain smallness, it'll activate that plugin and change all the user interface stuff so that it's responsive to mobile. Let's go ahead and take a look at our overhead. So here's the overhead. It's still saying, hey, you need to reload, obviously, so I'm going to hit the reload button here. Give it a second. So now it's loaded the Touch UI stuff. Unfortunately, guys, like I said, my screen is cracked, so I can't test out the touch stuff, as you can see. But trust me, it does work. Absolutely does work. But if you drop your screen and you break it, there you go. So to scroll, I'm actually using the mouse button here to click and drag. So this is simulating touch events. So that's how you would do it. And obviously right now it's offline because I don't have a printer selected. But you do still need to log in. So I'm going to click on that hamburger menu and then click and drag and say log in. Click and drag again, and I will log in with the credentials that we set up. Oops, wrong keyboard. Admin. If I could type, my keyboard's a little small, so I have to be very cautious about what I type. Alright, I'll hit remember me, so I never have to type that again. It doesn't have a check, it just kind of flips that little icon. So I'll hit login. And login is successful. You are now logged in as admin. I'll click the X button. And when I plug in a 3D printer in through the USB here, then I should be able to control it manually. So you'll notice that there's a lot of UI stuff that's in the way. So what we can do is hit, I believe it's F11. Yeah, F11 will full screen it. So at this point, you can plug in your Wi-Fi dongle and obviously you'll have a different Wi-Fi address. You'll have a different IP address for that Wi-Fi dongle. And you saw how we did, we plugged in the Ethernet so that we can install everything. But if you wanted to be a little bit more wireless, then of course you can use Wi-Fi. To exit out of this full screen, it is F11. F11 again to go into it. So yeah, I mean, you have full control over it here. And if I had a working touchscreen that wasn't cracked, then I'd be able to click on stuff and whatnot. But it works for the most part. You have a lot of options here. You can obviously pre-hit stuff. You can jog the wheel. You can kick off a print. And the overall thing is just that you can access your 3D printer from any device that is connected to your network. So that is super cool. Well, that's pretty much it. If you guys want me to do a tutorial on setting up the Pi camera, let me know. I can probably put that together for you. Obviously, I can't control nothing because I don't have a printer connected. But that's it for the most part, guys. I hope this was clear to you guys. If you have any questions, if you're getting stuck anywhere, go ahead and drop a comment down in the video, and we'll go ahead and answer those for you. But that's pretty much it. That's the how to start it up manually. Yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys think. So I think that's it, folks. It does take a good hour or so to install everything. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope I helped you guys out. If anybody had any questions, of course, you know what to do. Alright guys, that's it for this one. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.